The Committee on Science, Space, and Technology will come to order. Pursuant to notice, the committee meets to organize for the 113th Congress. Today we will consider committee rules, ratify subcommittee chairs, subcommittee ranking members, and subcommittee membership, and adopt the committee's oversight plan for the 113th Congress. I'll now recognize myself for opening remarks. First of all, welcome everyone to the first official meeting of the Science, Space, and Technology Committee for the 113th Congress. And thank you all for choosing to serve on this committee. There is wonderful talent on both sides. Where there is no vision, the people perish. These words are inscribed on the hearing room wall just behind me. This simple line from the book of Proverbs is an appropriate message as we begin a new Congress. We must learn from the past, understand the present, and have a vision for the future. We have 19 returning members and 20 new members. I hope that every member will find that this committee plays an exciting part in the discoveries of science, the exploration of space, and the development of new technologies. The Science, Space, and Technology Committee is one of the newest committees in Congress. Established in 1958 as the Select Committee on Astronautics and Space Exploration, its initial purpose was to oversee the U.S. space program after the Soviet Union launch of Sputnik in 1957. One of the committee's first actions was to enact the law that created NASA. Over nearly 55 years, the jurisdiction of the committee has expanded to include oversight of multiple agencies. These include NASA, the Department of Energy, the Environmental Protection Agency, the National Science Foundation, the Federal Aviation Administration, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the U.S. Fire Administration, and the U.S. Geological Survey, among others. The Science Committee oversees agency budgets totaling $39 billion, most of which is focused on research and development. This enables us to invest in the future, sometimes the distant future, and spur innovations, increase America's productivity, and improve our standard of living. It's my hope that we will be considered a bipartisan committee, working together for the best interest of our country. To that end, after consulting with the ranking member, the gentlewoman from Texas, we will hold a bipartisan retreat Tuesday, February 5 at 10 a.m. here in this room. That's 2 weeks from yesterday. At the retreat, we will hear from 2 guest speakers, discuss possible legislation, evaluate a list of codels, and exchange ideas on any number of issues. In the 113th Congress, the committee will have 6 subcommittees: Energy, Environment, Oversight, Research, Space, and Technology. From reauthorizing NASA to advocating for robust research and development, from highlighting the latest technological advances to providing thorough oversight of federal programs, we have much to do. For us, it is not a cliche to feel that America can shoot for the stars, reach for the moon, and the sky is the limit. I look forward to working with you all to promote legislation that advances America's interest in science, space, and technology. I'll now recognize, and I'm pleased to recognize, the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Johnson, the ranking member of the full committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And let me congratulate you, my friend of many years from Texas, and say it's also good to see the former chair, Mr. Hall of Texas, here. So having known both of you for many years, I look forward to a good and fair operated committee and look forward to working with every one of you here in this Congress. I'm excited about the work we have to do this Congress on the Science, Space, and Technology Committee. This really is a unique committee in the House since the work we do is about the future. Investments in research and development are investments in our future and future security, and they can inspire the next generation. Likewise, investments in STEM education are investments in our future competitiveness and ability to innovate. So it is exciting that we on this committee are focused on crafting the policies and priorities that will determine the future health and prosperity of America. I hope all of the members of this committee share our excitement about the work of our committee, and I hope that all of our many new members will take an active role in this committee. The challenging tasks we have taken on in our committee have historically been one that we have undertaken in a bipartisan fashion. I hope that that will continue to be the case in the 113th Congress, and I look forward to working with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle as we move forward to ensure that our nation maintains its competitive economic edge, challenges our young people to excel, continues to create good jobs for all of our citizens in the coming decades. And finally, I would like to thank Chairman Smith for working with us on the new committee rules and his oversight plan. I will support their adoption. And with that, I again want to extend my best wishes to Mr. Smith. And before I finish, let me just say that due to surgery in 2010, my vocal cord nerve was damaged, so my voice will be very different if you can hear it at all sometimes. But bear with me. If you bear with me, you will hear it. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. I'm sure that regardless of the volume, we will always listen to what you have to say. Our first item of business is the adoption of the committee rules. Copies of the rules are in your folders and were distributed to all offices last Friday in accordance with the rules notice requirements. These rules also have been reviewed by the House Parliamentarians' Office to ensure their conformity with the official rules and practices of the House. All the changes to the rules have been discussed and negotiated with Ranking Member Johnson and her staff. These rules reflect a bipartisan compromise and set out fair procedures that will help the committee do its business efficiently and transparently. The rules have been reorganized to limit needless duplication with the rules of the House and to make them clearer. Members should be aware that the committee's regular meeting will be held on Thursday mornings. This is to avoid scheduling conflicts with many other committees. Also, we will continue the practice of using an amendment roster for committee markups. The rules authorize the chairman to give priority to amendments submitted 24 hours in advance of a markup. These rules provide a strong framework for the committee's important work in the new Congress. Is there any further discussion, or are there any amendments to the rules? If not, the question is on the adoption of the committee rules as proposed. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the committee rules are adopted. Next, we consider the resolution establishing the subcommittee ratios, subcommittee chairs, and Republican membership of each subcommittee. I ask unanimous consent that the committee ratify these rosters, and without objection, so ordered. I now recognize Ms. Johnson to offer a similar motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to the instructions by the Democratic caucus, I ask unanimous consent that the Democratic rosters found before the members be approved by the committee.
Without objection, so ordered. At this time, we welcome back 13 Republican members of the Science, Space, and Technology Committee. They are joined by 9 new committee members whom I would like to introduce. And if you'll raise your hand when I introduce you, that way we can sort of see where you are. Steve Stockman of Texas previously served in the 104th Congress from 1995 to 1997. He represents NASA's Johnson Space Center. Bill Posey of Florida, in his 3rd term, once worked on the Apollo 11 team at Kennedy Space Center, which he now represents. He is also an accomplished stock car racer. Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming, in her 3rd term, represents one of our greatest energy-producing states. She holds 3 degrees from the University of Wyoming and held 3 statewide offices before coming to Congress. David Swikert of Arizona, in his 2nd term, earned 2 degrees from Arizona State. He served in both the Arizona House and Senate before coming to Congress. Thomas Massey of Kentucky is the founder of a tech company and the holder of 24 patents. As a student at MIT, he won a $30,000 tech prize, and he served as a county judge before his election to Congress. Kevin Kramer of North Dakota, another major energy-producing state, directed 2 different state agencies for tourism and economic development before running for Congress. Jim Bridenstine of Oklahoma was a triple major at Rice University while on a swimming scholarship. He served as a Navy pilot in Iraq and Afghanistan before directing Tulsa's Air and Space Museum. Randy Weber of Texas continues to be a successful small business owner and operator, and he served 2 terms in the Texas legislature. And Chris Stewart of Utah is a former Air Force pilot who helped set the record for the fastest nonstop flight around the world at an average speed of 630 miles per hour. He has written 14 books, including 2 New York Times bestsellers. I now recognize Ms. Johnson to introduce the new Democratic members of the committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to enthusiastically introduce our new Democratic members of the committee. Eric Swalwell from California was a member of the Dublin City Council, during which time he was also a deputy district attorney for Alameda County. Dan Mayfett from New York was a congressman in the 111th Congress before regaining his seat in the 113th. During this time, he was out of office and worked as a professor at SUNY College on environmental sciences and forestry, and as a senior vice president of Pinnacle Capital Management. Alan Grayson from Florida was a congressman in the 111th Congress before regaining his seat in the 113th. During this time out of office, he was a frequent political commentator. Joseph Kennedy III from Massachusetts was an assistant district attorney in Massachusetts after he finished his law degree from Harvard University. Scott Peters from California was a member of the San Diego Port Commission, before which he was a member of the San Diego City Council. Derek Kilmer from Washington was a member of the Washington State Senate, while also serving as the Vice President of the Economic Development Board of Tacoma-Pierce County. Amy Berra from California, a professor and Associate Dean of Admissions at UC Davis Medical School, formerly worked as the Sacramento County Chief Medical Officer. Elizabeth Esty from Connecticut was a member of the Connecticut House of Representatives, prior to which she was a senior research scholar at Yale Law School. Mark Vesey, whose district is just down the road adjacent to mine in Texas in the Fort Worth area, was a 4-term member of the Texas House of Representatives. Julia Brownlee of California was a 3-term member of California State Assembly, where she worked closely on investments in the state's schools. And Mark Takano from California was a teacher in the Rialto Unified School District, during which time he was also on the Board of Trustees for the Riverside Community College District. I am confident that these members will be very valuable contributors to this committee, and I look forward to working with them this Congress. There is a Democratic caucus convening at this time, and also another committee organization, so some of them have not made it yet. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. The next item for consideration is the proposed committee oversight plan, and a copy is in your folders. Under House rules, the committee must meet in open session and adopt the plan before February 15th. The committee's oversight jurisdiction is broad. The proposed oversight plan does not limit the committee's work, nor does it bind the committee to conduct oversight on every subject it mentions. If no members wish to be recognized, the question is on the adoption of the committee oversight plan as proposed. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the amendment is agreed to. I ask unanimous consent that the committee staff, with the consent of the minority committee staff, is authorized to make technical conforming changes to the rules, rosters, and oversight plan adopted by the committee for the duration of the 113th Congress. And without objection, so ordered. Does Ms. Johnson have any concluding remarks before we finish up?
Not really, but let me just reiterate again that I'm delighted that you're going to be our chairman. I'm delighted that we also have the presence of 2 previous chairs of this committee.
That is true.
I think I said, yes, Mr. Sensenbrenner and Mr. Hall. And I'm pleased to be on the committee with you again, and I'm very delighted to see all of the new members, and I look forward to a busy, busy term, including the member who's just arriving. Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Let me say that to the members that I realize this is probably the longest time the committee will go without numerous requests for recognition by other members, and I appreciate your forbearance today. If there is no further discussion, this concludes the full committee organizational meeting. Thank you all for your attendance, and the committee stands adjourned.